Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Footy Show Daily. We are live on Patreon. If you're watching us on YouTube, get over to Patreon. You could watch this show live and you can comment and you can get involved and be part of the show. The link is in the description. Baz, what are we talking about?
We're talking about, well, the first thing I want to really talk about is Timo Werner decision.
Timo Werner.
Decision to, and I suppose it's the correct decision, but when you're trying to put it in your head, what's right or what isn't right, is that he won't be playing in the Champions League when it resumes for Leipzig in August. There's a meeting tomorrow, I think, where everything will be finalised. The plan for the Champions League is to be played in August, with the final being August the 23rd. It's going to be over 11 days in Lisbon.
Oof.
The only kind of thing they've got to sort out at the moment is the remaining first legs. Second legs. I think there's 4 second leg games, and they need sorting out. And there's some like rumours that they're gonna just have to forfeit playing at home, and those games will also be played in Lisbon. So obviously Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Juventus, Lyon, Napoli are playing. They draw them 1-1, aren't they? So things like that, those games, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, but that's already 3-0, isn't it? It's over anyway, you'd have thought. So it's getting those games done. But Werner won't be, because obviously he will be joining Chelsea. And so from a Chelsea point of view, it's right, isn't it? They want their player who they've bought. They want him, get him to have a rest. So his season will finish. They've got 3 games left in the Bundesliga, haven't they? Then he's got a break. And then he'll be reporting for pre-season training with Chelsea. They'll want him. And you would do, you're outlaying £50 million on a player. You want him day one, don't you, of pre-season? Yeah. But from Leipzig's point of view, they're in the quarter-finals of the Champions League, especially now there's going to be one-off games. Yeah. He's so good for them.
I suppose that's the next thing, isn't it? It's dealing with the transfer market and when players can go. We've seen it already with players in the lower leagues. There's obviously the lad at Charlton who won't play past
Taylor,
the end of this month, so he won't probably play in any of the games because he's out of contract and he's going to get a decent move somewhere. So this is sort of the first complicated one, I imagine. You know, it is the buyout clause has been activated. He's going to sign. He'll probably be an official Chelsea player on the 1st of July, I would imagine. So it's up to them, isn't it? They don't want him to. He won't be a Leipzig player. He'll be a Chelsea player. So, and that's the end of it.
It's
you
just
know what
in
I mean?
Your mind, isn't it? Going,
no, I know.
They're still in that,
but he'll be a Chelsea player, and it's like if you bought someone in January, I would imagine that's the way you got to look at it, isn't it? If you bought someone in January and it just happened that they were still in the Champions League, well, so what? We've bought them. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
I just wonder if Chelsea complete the most unlikely of comeback ever from 3-0 down to Bayern Munich, go and win 4-0 in Munich.
Well, he wouldn't be able to play.
No. But would he, and they went on and won it, would he go full John Terry in the suit and come on with the Champions League?
Not.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah,
because he's not like wouldn't have played, would he? So,
no, I mean, it is just getting your head around it, really, isn't it? You go, oh, they're still in that. And it's such a pity for them, because who's to say they'll get to the quarterfinals again anytime soon? I mean, he's still got good players, so you don't know, but he's been such a good player for them, and he's a match winner.
They've got Adam O'Loughlin.
They have got Adam.
Do you know this is the big chance for him? This is the big chance he's been waiting
for. They've got Poulsen, haven't they? And they've got Patrick Schick, so they've still got, playing Kunk, who's a good player. They have got good players in that side, but he is obviously the key for them, isn't he? Werner is the 40 goals or whatever he's got this season, or 30 goals or something. So he's a key player, but they're going to be without him.
Yeah.
So a lot of talk about Marcus Rashford for Prime Minister.
Yes.
He's obviously
gets my vote.
Overturned the government's decision on school meals, which I think I can't.
He didn't overturn it. He didn't
he started the momentum.
It's not Guy Fawkes.
No, he isn't. He started the momentum, which has seen the decision reversed. I just can't believe. I know this is a football show. We will get back, but I just can't believe in this day and age and with what's gone on that governments would be considering
Cruel enough.
not giving
Cruel enough
people
is the word
a
you're looking for there.
basic thing, food for kids.
Food for kids.
Honestly,
Kids eating food
it
and stuff.
really just makes me go.
It helps kids eating food.
Helps them survive.
Because, well, not only that, I mean, 120 million is a drop in the ocean, certainly at the moment, in terms of with everything else going on. And you throw another...
Print money.
You just print it. Print money.
Means nothing.
Print money. No, brilliant. Well done. And I think there's been universal support for them from... Obviously, this is not a football thing, so it's a... Fans from every club can see the importance in that, and it's nice. No, but I think what's massively though important in this, right, is that when we first started with the COVID situation, footballers were called out
by MPs.
By MP, Matt Hancock being one of them, and were basically sneered at because of how much money they earned. And we're basically told to give back.
Yeah.
And Marcus Rashford is, not only is he raised, I think he's raised about £3 million, is it? Something like that, helped raise £3 million with chat.
More than that,
It might be more than that, sorry, it might be more than that. I'm just picking that figure out my head. With the help of charity and some of his sponsors. And then he put forward this idea of, you know, just first of all, just understanding that kids weren't going to get fed. Because, and I'm not having a go at other footballers, but some footballers might even be socially conscious enough to understand that.
It just mightn't have been in people's heads.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's because it's not in their head. It's
I think in normal people, mate.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Just footballers. I think a lot of...
No, some people.
I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have been thinking about that because you're thinking about a different narrative.
So the idea that he understood that, but it's also fought for that, and...
But he's from a single parent family.
Well, yeah, and he fought for that, and he's come, and you know, the government, apparently the government yesterday were like, just had no interest in overturning it, but the pressure's built online as well, you know, through social media. It's you know, and that's what someone like him can do, and in the times we live at the moment, and you know, sportsmen having social conscience. It's funny because I know it's the slightly two different things, but with the whole with the Black Lives Matters thing, and going back to what Colin Kaepernick did, and how he was ignored for doing something, so you know, or sneered at for doing it. It shows that if you don't face up to things when they can be dealt with in a civilized way, it can come back to bite you later on. Because the ramifications of kids not eating food you can imagine, couldn't you? You can imagine. So, well done to him. Well done to him.
Well, I mean, one of the headlines, Boris Johnson caves in to Marcus Rashford. I mean,
why couldn't Marcus Rashford have jumped on
the... Caves in, though, is just such a negative headline, isn't it? It's like a thing, like he's caved in, he shouldn't have really, it should have been, you know, I don't know, it's more...
At least it's not...
Spun more positively.
At least it's not a...
No. Let's move on.
Made out that he was the hero in this.
Let's move on from that. Obviously, the Norwich City, we talked about it yesterday, Norwich had a positive COVID test, but the player was tested by doctors and actually came back negative. So that in some respects, that makes me go, like, what's the validity of their testing then? Is it perfect, or can something have shown up and then go within a couple of days? You know what I mean? We know that Paulo Dybala had 4 positive tests in 6 weeks, then it was gone.
It's weird, that, isn't it? I mean, listen, I don't know the ins and outs of it, the science.
No, I just thought it was a mad story.
It is weird when you see like, and what it does to people, what COVID does to people. There was a guy, he's a presenter on CNN, English guy, and I was watching coverage of last week of the protests in America, And this advert of him come up when he was doing this show where he was trying to do yoga. And he couldn't, I know it sounds weird, but it was all in relation to COVID. But he just couldn't do it properly because his lungs were still in a bad way. And it just shows you, doesn't it, that, you know, you just mentioned there, Dybala said he got tested. He had it four different times. He didn't. He had it once. It just for weeks and weeks and weeks. And yet this guy, we are told, gets tested one day and has got it. And then is tested again and he hasn't got it.
And he had no symptoms. He's asymptomatic.
Very strange, very strange.
It is weird. The Newcastle takeover stuff.
Yeah.
Rumbling on. Personally, I don't know how this is even still a thing. Really don't. I think it's an absolute... If the Premier League put this through, they are an absolute disgrace. And there's no... I mean, there's hardly any integrity anyway. But if they put this through, it's an absolute joke. But at the moment, the World Trade Organization is just about to deliver its report, a 180-page report on the piracy scam that's come from Saudi Arabia. BLQ is the company. And they're the ones who are behind, the people who own that are the ones who are behind the Newcastle takeover.
Yeah.
So this is a company that has been pirating Premier League rights from being Sport, who bought them.
Yeah.
And they basically, essentially been like putting it into next door stuff
Yeah,
and having
yeah,
it. But not only have they just been doing that, they've been branding it as theirs. So being Sport have bought the Premier League rights off the Premier League. And someone else is using them.
Yeah, they're putting overlays on it and
who
stuff.
haven't bought them.
Yeah.
So how can a Premier... I can't understand how you can steal, because that's what it is, isn't it? Essentially pirating. Take something off a company who then allows you to come into their thing. You know, and then on top of that, you know, there's a report today saying that a Premier League executive said, oh, we know when this gets looked at, it's going to be a shit show. Because of the Saudi Arabian owners, murdered journalists, Amnesty International, protesters, all sorts. It just brings negative impact to the Premier League. And the only thing keeping me hopeful on this is the fact that it hasn't gone through. 9 weeks ago, Newcastle said it would be done in 2 days' time. And that was 9 weeks ago. And now, apparently, Steve Bruce doesn't speak to Mike Ashley anymore. They've all fell out. Newcastle are only 8 points ahead of relegation. Now, I don't think they're in any danger, but a couple of wins for someone else could drag that down and make it even worse. And I just don't understand, when there's another takeover on the table, why the Premier League just don't say it's done. And maybe they need this 130-page document from the WTO to go through. And this is not against Newcastle, because I fully believe that the Californian businessmen who want to take them over would actually be better for them in terms of a planning and sustainability, and making that club, giving that club some financial ability to challenge again, you know, up for European places and stuff. But I just think, I don't understand how this can go on and have not been...
Sadly, I still think it could easily go through. Not saying it will, I still think it could. I just think this is the world we live in. There's no accountability for anything. And the Premier League will... I mean, it's supposed to be like there's supposed to be a fit and proper test. You're just like, how on earth could these people... Never mind the stealing of the Premier League coverage, just everything else. Right?
I know, but I understand that, and I know that because there'll be people who say, well, hang on, what about them owners, what they've done, and what about that owner, and what about... But I'm saying the thing that really I can't get my head around. I can't get my head around that anyway. But we've seen what happened with the World Cup that's gone to Qatar and all the negative stuff that's had. This is someone who is taking from the company they now want to be part of. And you're still going. Because
they'll oil the palms. They'll do something. They'll promise that they're going to buy. They'll say, yeah, we'll buy the rights off you then, and we'll give you loads of money as well. And the Premier League...
40 years gone.
The Premier League will come out and just say, oh, they've learned their lesson and they won't do it again, and it was his dog, he had his own work. And because for me, all the Premier League will be thinking about is, well, if we've got a new rich owner, that means there's another team who's going to fight for the title, and they've got loads and loads of money. that means they might sign some of the best players in the world as well. So that's more of the best players in the world playing in the Premier League. Another team challenging. More Newcastle fans we know will be at home or watching because they're all fanatical, and there's loads of them in the city and all the rest of it. And sadly, that's, I think, all they care about. And if anyone feels any different, then please tell me why. But I don't think anything the Premier League have ever done has said anything different, because they can come out with all slogans. They can come out about, they can throw all the slogans out all they want. They can talk about, LGBT communities and Black Lives Matters and all this. Ultimately, all that matters is money. That's all it matters.
Well, we've seen that with the football coming back, haven't we? With when
human rights.
It's good that it's coming back now, but I mean,
why? Who cares about?
People aren't happy about it.
Who cares about human rights, and who cares about what someone might be doing to somebody else, or what the punishment is for crimes or whatever in these places? Money is all that matters. The brand is all that matters.
But it's damaging to the brand, though.
But
this
is it though?
Because
damaging what
to
I would
the brand.
say to that is, though, who's making noise about this? Who's like the government have already come out and said it's up to the Premier League. They're not bothered because they sell arms to Saudi Arabia. So they don't care. We've got wars in Yemen and places like that. No one cares about that. I haven't heard any other Premier League owners really. Well, none of them have said anything publicly about it. And even from a point of view of them clubs going, well, these will be a threat. You'd think one of them would stand up and go, this isn't right. But none of them have. And ultimately, when there might be a big, at the beginning might be a bit of noise about it, but it'll all die down, and these people come out and they'll do what the Man City fans owners have done, and have done nice gestures for people, and it'll all just go away. It always does. We live in a world where the bad guys get away with everything.
Yeah.
Publicly now as well, though. Very publicly.
I know.
So I still think it could easily happen. I hope it doesn't, but I still think it could easily.
I mean, on the patron things here for the show round our way says breaking news. WTO announced that Saudi Arabia has breached international piracy laws, and this will affect Newcastle's takeover. Captain
Jack Sparrow could try and take over a football club, and if he had enough money, they'd let him.
No, I'm just saying what this is. Daniel Gilligan says, afternoon, gents. There's a few saying it's not on. Do they know they're not on? But I've just looked and it is on. And there's people watching, so that was from before. So just very, very interesting. I mean, we mentioned before that we talked about Leipzig and the Champions League will decide tomorrow how that is going to play out. We've got normally the journalists get all these bits and pieces and they put it out, and then they have this meeting and it's given. It's done and dusted. So basically what's going to happen is the going to play this tournament, the Champions League, over 11 days in Lisbon. They've decided now it's been moved, hasn't it, from Istanbul to Lisbon.
The Europa's supposed to be in Germany as well.
Europa's in Germany, and apparently they've now announced that the Women's Champions League will also be finished in Spain in August. So there's going to be obviously the 4 remaining games, but then the last 8 are all going to be one-off games for to get them done, essentially. So, I mean, as a one-off game, do you think that just means that anybody could go through? Because it's not, when you get the 2-legged and you'd look and go, well, they're over 2 legs, they should be good enough. This surely gives it,
to be fair, we're used to it though, aren't we? That's what we get in this country. We're used to one-legged games, FA Cup. That's what.
No, but I mean, with the Champions League.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's always been one-legged for us. This is something we. So to me, it's getting played on a neutral venue. That to me is the essence of football. One-off games on neutral venues, in in the latter,
Could make it more exciting.
Well, it will do because
I'm guessing
two-legged games.
I'm guessing there'll be extra time and penalties, won't there?
Two-legged games are. There's an art to playing in two-legged games.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think playing in a one-off game makes it more exciting. It'll be like it's the World Cup. style, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a Euro style. It's a tournament. Becomes a tournament then. And I think it'll be interesting, and it'll give us something to watch in August, and it'll be interesting. It'll be hopefully it'll be quality football. And yeah, no, I've got no problem with it. I'm quite looking forward to it.
I mean, are we on?
We are. Stop going on.
All the comments have gone.
Stop mentioning it on the show.
I think it'll be interesting because I do think it'll randomise it a little bit more. I think, like you just said there, the art of playing over two legs. Yeah. Some teams are better at that than others, and I think you're gonna have to be on your game for it. And it could see something that like a Leipzig. I know we just mentioned they'll be weaker now without Timo Werner, but who's to say just on that one day they don't turn up? And do you think this gives Manchester City a better chance, or?
I think that it comes down to pure football. I'm not. It's mad because when the Champions League's on, right, I generally don't watch first legs.
Just like watching.
I just watch the second leg. I honestly, I do.
Yeah, it's for that interest, that jeopardy almost. I don't like two-legged games. I think I just prefer knockout games. Yeah. And I'd honestly prefer that if they just were like drawn it, and it was. I know it's, it's supposed to make you fairer, but look. The jeopardy of it's interesting, though, isn't it? Especially being on a neutral ground. Obviously, the Premier League is back tomorrow. And Sky have announced they're going to be using 1,300 different chants, songs and crowd noise sample from FIFA, from the FIFA archive to enhance their Premier League coverage.
Very interesting.
Coverage. EA has built up a huge archive of football chants, songs and crowd noise. It's used every year in the hugely popular FIFA series. 13 hours of audio, they've got sound bites. Sky will now draw upon this to enhance their Premier League coverage. An artificial atmosphere reacts to events in the games will be created. It's already been used in La Liga and the Bundesliga in recent weeks. So we've seen that, in the Bundesliga, where when people have shots, it's like the tackles and whistling with back passes and or a foul and stuff. So I think it's something that was needed because having watched most of the Bundesliga games, and I watched some of the La Liga games over the weekend. I think when I started watching the Bundesliga games, it was about the novelty of that playing. It's footy again, we haven't seen any. And although we enjoyed the technical ability of the players, as you've seen it, there was the hollowness of the stadium. It does lose something. Your mind, I remember you saying your mind wandered onto, I want to do, it's on, but I'll do something else. But it is weird how your brain clicks into gear a little bit more when you can hear crowd noise or when the visuals look better. Yeah. And so I think for the Premier League, certainly for the time being, where we can't be in stadiums, I think this is important because you want it to feel like there's something on it. Because otherwise it is just essentially pre-season friendlies, isn't it?
Yeah. No, definitely. And be interesting to see. We've seen with the La Liga with their crowd noises and also their in-stadium graphics as well. We mentioned them yesterday. It'll be interesting whether the Premier League can up that, and obviously we'll find out tomorrow night what that's going to look like, and what the whole production's going to look like. So,
because one thing they did at the weekend was in the Schalke Leverkusen game, Alario played on when he should have given the ball back. They kicks, and then every time he touched the ball, he would boot. They had the boot thing going. So there was stuff like that would happen in the game. So obviously it's live mixing, and I think that helps you get into the game. Listen, there's people who don't want to get it, and people who I've seen people say we're not even going to call it football because it isn't football without the fans and all of that. I mean, it is football. Football at its essence doesn't have fans because it's about you going and having a game on a pitch without any crowd, isn't it? As a kid. Do you know what I mean? So that's real. That's why we all fell in love with it. Most of us, fell in love with it through playing it and playing on the park with our mates and all of that. But it is going to be very different, of course, from being in the stadium and having live fans. But I think anything they can do to try to do that, I think makes a big difference. Yeah, there you go. Don't forget there are Bundesliga games tonight. Bayern Munich can win the league tonight, can't they? They can win the league tonight. So that's on, I think that's on 7:30 if you're watching this live.
there's a game on at 5:30 as well if you're watching this live. If you're not watching it live,
Mönchengladbach with Marcus Thuram. Hell of a play.
You may already know the result of these games if you're watching this on YouTube. There you go. Big thanks to everyone for watching us. If you've been watching us live on Patreon, thank you very much. And if you've been watching us on YouTube, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to join us on Patreon for these live videos, we're going to do another live video straight after this. We're going to do live at 5 over on Patreon for all our Everton chat. Jump on Patreon. The link is in the description. Come and join us. Come and see what it's like, especially with the new season starting as well. Going to be trying to get back to normal as possible. Obviously, we won't be as normal, but we'll try our very, very best. So there you go. Thank you for watching. See you later.